Hey everybody, welcome back to my unprocessed life. This has been a rough day, I kid you not. Food was the easy part, but it's been a tough day. The income taxes that came in weren't enough to cover the loan that I was trying to pay off with them, and we didn't have a lot of financial issues going on, so it's been a rough day. And then someone dropped and broke my wife's iPhone 6 Plus, and so that's gonna have to be fixed because it's all shattered and stuff. So it's gonna be a day. Yeah, so it's been pretty challenging. That happened. Silver lining is that stayed on my food plan. Didn't change that. Didn't go eat a burger. Didn't go eat fatty food. Didn't go get vegan junk food. No. Even though I'm like 2 hours later getting home than what I wanted to because of the shopping I had to do. And even though I got a lot of bad financial news this month, like I got to tag the cars this month, and the income tax wasn't as much as I expected it to be, and we already spent some of the other money that we were supposed to be using for paying that loan off, and you know, just to get by. And then you know, basically I had to give up guitar lessons because we just can't afford it. And so it's been really a pretty downer of a day. It's funny how those days that you start out really happy and going, oh yeah, I think it's gonna be a great day, usually maybe not usually, but it seems like they turn to crap pretty quickly, pretty easily. And so yeah, rough day today as far as that goes. Work was good, food was fine. You know, after my green juice I had my smoothies today. My smoothies consisted of 5 bananas and a pineapple and some hemp protein powder, and that's what I've had today. It's my smoothies and my green juice. When I go home I'm gonna have something else. I don't know what, probably some veggie sandwiches or something like that, and be just enough to course me into the evening. Of course I'm going to be eating really late by the time I get home anyway, so it's not going to do much for my weight loss tomorrow, but the day after it should be fine. I just, you know, I've been trying to get all fed and done by, you know, like 7 o'clock at night so that I can, you know, digest it and move. You know, when I go to sleep I'm not digesting food, my body's just sleeping. So so we got that going on. But I'm trying to see the silver lining and everything. We will get the loan paid off, and then next month we'll have some money to go towards some other bills and things like that. And so it should be really exciting because it's really kind of a turning point into getting things back where they need to be. And but it's the beginning of that, and it's a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a frustration. So but the good news is that because we're viewing this as a good thing, what's happening is that I'm not going off the rails. I'm not going and pigging out. That's what I would normally do. That's really what I like to do. Is self-medicate with food. That's always been my MO. That's why I'm 300 pounds, is because anytime there's any emotional deal that I have to deal with that I don't want to deal with, I just turn to food. Because food doesn't judge you. Food doesn't care. It's always there for you. And it's always there for you. It doesn't leave. That's how I got to be as big as I am. The food just stayed with me forever because I ate way too much all the time and too much of the wrong things. So that's one of those challenges. So yeah, being strong today, doing well. Doesn't feel like it at the moment, but I'm going to try to look at it that way. I'm going to try to make sure that I can change my attitude. I'm reminded of, is it Viktor Frankl? I know it's silly because these are all first world problems. You know, the worst thing that could happen is that I default on some loans, and, you know, most of them are unsecured anyway. But it kind of gets you down, you know, when you feel like you make a good living and, you know, you should be able to keep everything in check. It's embarrassing. It's definitely a blow to your ego. But I'm reminded of the story of the refugee camp detainee during the Holocaust. And he just chose to have a good attitude no matter what was happening. And they would torture him, and he would just have a good attitude. And it just didn't matter. And it got to the point where the guards liked him, and they hated having to do to him what they were commanded to do to him. And it got to a point where, you know, he eventually survived to tell the story. And I'm paraphrasing and doing a very poor job of telling Victor's story, but it's an important concept, I guess. Not I guess, it is an important concept. When they asked him how he survived the concentration camp and so forth, he said he realized that they could take anything from him. They could take his life, they could take his body, they could torture him. There is anything that they wanted to do, they could do to him, except change his attitude. He was the one that was solely in control of his attitude, and he chose to be happy. He chose to be joyful amongst the worst imaginable situation. One of the worst imaginable situations, for sure. You know, he was being tortured in a Nazi death camp, and he still chose to have a good attitude. So what kind of a punk am I to say, oh, well, I'm not going to have a good attitude, I'm going to be pissed about things? But that's hard to do, especially if you're not disciplined at all at it. And I'm not disciplined at all at it. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I have since I was a tiny child. And that has always been a part of my identity of who I am, letting people know how I feel and putting it out there. And I've always let, I've always let circumstances dictate my attitude. I shouldn't, but I always have. That's kind of been who I am. And I know it frustrates people around me. So this is one of those grown-up moments where I'm trying to change my attitude and make sure that everything's fine and I'm happy. You know, part of that for me comes from bad relationships and things that have gone awry in my lifetime. I remember one particular breakup years ago where it just didn't seem that she cared after the fact. I was completely infatuated, and I was so brokenhearted when she left me for someone else. And this is this is 30 years of baggage, right? So this is a long, long time ago. So devastated. But she didn't seem to care at all. And that is sometimes, like, she didn't feel guilty, she wasn't sorry, she just moved on. And that is the hardest thing to take for me in a relationship that's ending, is that the other person doesn't care. If it's a mutual decision, it's not that bad. If it's, something where the other person is really sorry about the relationship ending, but they have to move on, that's not as bad. But when they don't care, then it upsets you to the degree where you're like, well, everybody's going to have to know how bad it is because you don't get it. And maybe, just maybe, if I do enough of this, showing people my brooding inner self, then maybe you'll get it and be like, oh, I really did some damage, and I really should be sorry for the damage that I did. But when you're not, or when you just show that you're not, then that's as damaging as the loss sometimes. So part of this has always been that I wanted other people to care as much as I cared about things. And it was a hard life lesson to learn that people didn't care about things as much as I did. Sometimes not even close. And some people just don't have the compassion gene at all, it seems. I called this channel My Unprocessed Life for a reason. It's not just about food, and it's not just about diet, and it's not just about any one particular thing. It's about my journey, and one big part of that is the food that I eat, and the weight that I lose or gain, and all of those pieces are part of it. And sometimes the struggles are part of it too, and so that's why I'm sharing that with you. The good news is, hey, tomorrow's another day. Every minute's a new minute. And the only time that we have to deal with is right now. The future and the past don't exist. It's only right now, and that's all that we can deal with. And that's all we should worry about. That's all I'm going to be concerned about, is that I have a wonderful car that I'm paying through the nose for, and that it's taking me home, and I don't have to worry about it breaking down or any of those challenges. And I am going to be able to be home and see my 2 sons and my wife, and it's all going to be a wonderful evening. And that is what I'm going to focus on. So I hope you've had a wonderful day. I hope your day has been better than mine. If it hasn't, you have my sincerest condolences, because I know that those days are tough. If you have any questions, you know where to shoot them. Send them to my email, myunprocessedlife@gmail.com, and you ask questions about anything. You can find me over on Instagram, myunprocessed.life, where I post all of the pictures of the things I eat that I remember to post. And at least for now, I hear Instagram's changing, so who knows how that's going to pan out. But for now, Instagram's where you can see all of the pictures of the things that I eat in a day, and so forth. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. If you like hanging out with me, then click the like button on the video and share it. Subscribe. Let me know that there's a reason to continue. I wish somebody would tell me what the yawning stuff's about. I pretty much never yawn except for when I'm on camera talking, and then it's like a snooze fest. I don't know. Oh well. Anyway, enough of all of my ranting and ramblings and so forth. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I appreciate it, and it means so much to me. I know you have lots of choices in your entertainment life, and you can choose to watch anything out there, and some of that stuff I'm sure is much better than hanging out with me, but you choose to hang out with me, and I appreciate that, and it means a lot to me, which is why I try to make videos every day, and sometimes twice a day, so that you know that I care about you. And sometimes I don't get it done, but most of the time I do, and I try to make sure that you get the videos out there. So anyway, until tomorrow morning, y'all have a great evening, and remember, you control your attitude, nobody else does. And if somebody else controls your attitude, you're just kind of a slave to them, and that's where I've been. So I'm going to try not to be a slave. You try not to be a slave too. Let's just try to be happy and enjoy our life for what we can of it. Until next time.